Okay. We are on Pehei Amid Beis by the about. Sorry, I didn't do this right. Oh. Pehei Amid Beis. How many lines down? 4 lines down from the top. Caleb Shalikech. There's a new shayla. Caleb Shalikech b'shus moicha kana lekech oilai. Questions like this: when you have a kli of lekech, the Reuven is borrowing from Shimon, and Reuven's kli is in Shimon's property, and they put the apples that Reuven's buying into his kli, but it's still in Reuven's store, in Shimon's store. I'm sorry, in the Meicher store, the seller store. What do we say what dominates? Do we say the fact that it's the lekech's kli, or do we say no? It doesn't help that it's his kli in order for him to be kaina with what's essentially a kinyan chatzah, because it's in the rishus, it's in the overall rishus of the seller. As we'll see in the Gemara, this is talking about a sort of a parva case. Had Shimon directed Reuven, put down your bucket in my rishus and use it to be kaina, that would certainly be kaina. We're talking about where he just said, I want to be makna to you these apples, and Shimon and Reuven decides on his own to put down his bucket on the floor and fill it with the apples. So that's the question. We're talking about where, let's say, the meicher is the one who put it in, so there's no hagbah on the part of Reuven, or it's too heavy. I think, as we're going to see in the later Gemara, if you're able, and we've said a number of times, if you're able to do hagbah, you can't be kaina with mashicha. This is a kinyan chatzah. I'm not sure if that's also precluded by the requirement that you do hagbah. I think it is. So that's the question. And as we're going to see later on in the Gemara, it will go the other way around as well. If you have kalim that belong to the meicher, that are in rishus lekech, and the meicher puts it down into his own kli in the lekech's rishus, would you say that then you don't have a kinyan chatzar in the rishus lekech? So we'll go both ways. Do we say that a kli is the dominant factor, and that determines who is the person who's holding it? So therefore, the lekech could, even though he's in the rishus meicher, he could be making a kinyan. Or just say no, since it's in the rishus meicher, the kli is not enough to designate it as belonging to the purchaser. Amalei t'nisua. I'll bring a raya from a brisa. Zarkula l'toich cheka or l'toich chalsa. If a man was trying to divorce his wife, as we know, the Torah says it has to be biyada. He has to put it into her hand. So if he put it onto her lap or into her basket, hereza mugureshes. She's mugureshes. Now, a woman typically she doesn't have control of any karka, so she's pashtus on her husband's land. And we're saying even so, if he throws it into her basket, she's mugureshes. So you see that her kli that's in the rishus, in the car, that's in the husband's rishus, is still enough that she is considered to be her yad, to be kindness, so to speak, her get, to get a yad on the get, that she's megureshes. Amar Elei Reb Nachman, my time of pashle me'ahi. Why you bring me a maraya from there? The machula meya ochli ba'ochla. That has been smashed 100 times with a hammer. Meaning, many people have given chalukim, distinctions between that case and the question that we're asking now. I'm going to list a whole bunch of events. We're talking about where the basket is hanging on her, meaning she has a basket that's tied around her neck and hanging from her neck. So certainly, even if she's in the rishus of the husband, if he puts it into her hand, her own body is certainly her own rishus. And if something's hanging from her, it's not considered to be on the karka of where it is, but it's hanging from her neck. So she's kind of. Shlaka says it doesn't have to be hanging if it's like on a leash. There's a strap attached to it, and she's holding on to the strap. It's tied on to her. It doesn't make a difference if it's hanging or if it's on the ground. It's still considered to be a extension of her body, which is certainly kind of even in his rishos. He says it's talking about where she's sitting on the ground, and it's sitting in between her knees, between her thighs. So that is also a rishus that belongs to her. It means although the property belongs to her husband, but her husband, when he has a wife, he always allows her to sit where she wants, and that place is considered to be her personal domain. That there's he's not stopping her from using it to be kind of things. And the Rishonim talk about the Maisa, he's divorcing her right now. He's giving her a get. So l'chayra, this niceness that he's showing, this tolerance that he's giving her own rishus is coming to an end with this. So it's a gita b'yadaba and ka'echad. They say, he says that it's talking about a case that he is a seller of baskets. So a person who's a seller of baskets, he has a whole bunch of baskets there, and he basically makes that makam or rishus harabim, and not even rishus harabim. It's open season. Whoever wants to place their kalsis there can go ahead and do so, and she's not any worse than everyone else. Like, let's see, the Rashi, the Rashbam. This place is designated for people to put down their basket, so he doesn't look at it as his own rishus. It's a place where people come and buy and sell. So it's an open season. Whoever wants to put down their kalsa, they get that spot.
Well, wouldn't that be comparable to our case, this specific one? In other words, so to the meicher doesn't.
Well, because I keep on saying a store, but it means like a person has in his house and he's trying to sell something. It's not open to all, to anyone who wants to come place their thing there. It's he's making a one-time deal.
I'm saying because the seller wants it. In the case of the basket seller, right? He wants the purchase to go through.
Well, he like I said, if he really wants this to work, like as we're going to see later on in the Gemara, if the meicher says, "I want you to be kind of with your basket here," it will definitely work. The question is where he left it open. We didn't specifically designate. So normally, if you don't specifically designate, the guy keeps his own rishus for himself. However, there's a husband. But if someone has such a rishus that he doesn't really care about, he doesn't stop people generally. So his wife will be considered that she's not any worse than everyone else. That she's considered to have almost like an affirmative right to be kind of something there. Another text, he says, "Makom cheka kanila, makom kalsa kanila." He says, in general, it doesn't have to even be bein charseh. A man is always, he gives her lap, and he gives her he gives her her basket. As long as they're married, wherever she puts her stuff down, he lets her have it, and therefore, it's still her yad to be kind of the get. He says it's a general rule. Person not makom on the place where he sits, meaning that if she sits down, the person is generally tolerant of his wife. She sits down, the place where her clothing covers over, or the place where she places down her basket, he's Devaila, she has Rishus over it. So in any case, all this is reason to say that this is not a raya to our original question, whether the Malkum, a lekeach who puts down his kli to be kind of b'rishus meicher, whether it's kind. Let's bring a raya from here. B'rishus meicher lekanachi v'ena eshiyetziena b'rishusay. In the Arba Midas, the Bryce Anomenav, we said there are 4 Midas, there are 4 situations by a kaina. We said if it's in the rishus of the meicher, he's not kaina until the lekeach picks it up or he brings it out of his rishus. My la belekech bekelev the lekeach. Isn't it saying that even if it's in the kelev the lekeach, he still has to be meitzim rishusay in order to be kaina outside of his rishus? So you see, a lekech cannot be kaina with his kelim in the rishus of the meicher. So about bekelev the meicher. It's talking in that case that Arba Midas is talking about where the lekech is the meicher put down the thing that's being sold into his own kli in his own rishus, and then the lekech can't be kained until he takes it out. So tomorrow, with the reisha bekelev the meicher, sefer nami bekelev the meicher. So how could you say it's talking about? How can you say it's talking about in the kale of the meicher? Then that would mean that the sefer is also talking about the same case, the same situation. Aim a sefer b'rishus lekeach. If it's in the rishus lekeach, even shkibulav meicher kana lekeach. As long as the meicher agreed that it should be sold, the lekeach gets it. We became the meicher and my kana. If we're suggesting that the lekeach can't be kaina in the rishus of the, it was saying that the lekeach could be kaina in the rishus of the meicher because the lekech's kli overrides where it is. So then, if we're talking about it in the kale of the meicher and the rishus of the lekech, that also shouldn't be able to be. It shouldn't be able to be kaina. That means the meicher's kli should be dominant, and it wouldn't help that it's in the rishus of lekech. And l'chayr, the reish and the sefer are both talking about the same case. Either it's the kli of the lekech or the kli of the meicher. So we must say sefer etan lekel of the lekech. No, the sefer, when we said that it's in the rishus of lekech, it's kind of as soon as the meicher agrees. That's talking about where it's in the kale of the lekech. So tomorrow, my piska. What kind of psak is that to say? We say that if it's in the rishus of lekech, it is kind of rishus of the meicher. It's not. That's essentially what it boils down to. But we're saying it's not because of the rishus. It also has to be. It's talking about 2 separate cases. The rishus of the meicher is talking about what was in the kli of the meicher, and the rishus of lekech was in the kli of lekech. What kind of halacha are you telling us? You told us halacha, but it's really dependent on there being 2 separate facts that's not even mentioned there. And my piska is you're telling us this is trying to tell us halacha, but it's not really dependent on what was stated. Second, no. Stamma de milsa, be meicher, mani de meicher. Sheshrichi, be lekech, mani lekech, shrichi. He says that no, we're talking about a normal case. This is the way it normally is. When you're in the meicher, the baskets there will be the baskets that you get when you walk into the store. And when you're in the lekech here, he has his own kelim that the peddler is gonna put it in. Amara, Toshma. So we still have a question. What is this din? What is the din if you have kelim de lekech b'rishus meicher? Amara, Toshma. Masha chamarav upayalo. If someone dragged a donkey driver or a laborer, they were holding something that he was buying. Reuben was buying from Shimon, and Shimon said he gave over the inventory to a laborer, to a worker, and now Reuven dragged them. He said, "Come, bring it to me." And he brought them into his house. Bein pasuk actually madad, bein madad pasuk. Whether they already agreed on a price, but they haven't yet weighed how much inventory he was buying, or if it was the other way around, It's certainly the case. If he measured it, but they haven't come to an agreement on the price, and there's still no kinyan because it's being a mashicha of a person who's holding something is not a mashicha. You have to be maishich the thing, and the inventory, the object that's being purchased is still in the hands of the laborer. It's not in his rishus, not in rishus lekech. Pirkon, but if the laborer then took it and put it down, he put it down in the house of the purchaser. If they came to agreement on the price, so like we've always said, you have to have two factors. They have to have an agreement on the price, even if you don't know how much it is, but they've already come to agreement. Then just a technicality, we have to figure out how much it comes out to. So once they put it down, once the laborer put it down, at this point the Gemara is assuming that they put it down in the sack that it came in, the sack of the meicher. But nevertheless, it's kani because it was put down in the rishus of in the house of the lekech. So therefore, neither of them could be chayzer, neither the seller or the purchaser. It's a full valid purchase. Madad actually pasak, but if they only measured, but they hadn't come to agreement, and they could still be chayzer, as the Gemara is going to explain. The Gemara, we've said this a number of times. The Gemara hasn't explicitly said it. The Gemara in a couple of lines will say this explicitly, that you have to have an agreement. It's not sufficient. Someone is not saimich das to go through with a purchase until you know what the price is. Now the Gemara brings its right. Now this leikana is a little bit deceptive. Doesn't mean being kaina. We're saying even though this purchase is still in the bags, it's in the sacks. He bought, let's say, wheat in a sack, and the laborer took it off his shoulder and he put it down in the house of the lekech. We're saying that it's going to be cunning. Why don't we say that the fact that it's in the sack of the meicher outweighs the fact that it's in the lekech's rishus? So we say loikana, meaning it's not dispositive. It's not going to be dominant. We're saying the fact that it's in the seller's sack doesn't win out over the fact that it's in the rishus of the lekech, but the lekech is kind of anyway. So then from that we should see kelev the lekech not rishus meichel lekana. From the fact, so then it should also be the other way around, that even when a lekech has the produce, what he's buying, put into his own kli in the rishus of the meicher, we should say also we ignore the kli that it's in, and we say it shouldn't be able to be kind of. Rav Nachman Yitzchak b'sheshaftan. Nachman Yitzchak answered, that's not a raya. Over there, when it says that he put it on the ground, the laborer put it on the ground, it's talking about when he poured it out of the sack directly on the ground, and now it's 100% in the bias on the floor of the lekech. Ikbid ba Rava midi shachman katani. Pirkin katani. Doesn't say he poured it out, it says he unloaded it. And when you unload the thing, it just means taking out the sacks. And it was coming from the meicher, so it's in the meicher sacks. Elamar mar baravashi, b'misachli detumi. We're talking about bundles of garlic, which don't come in sacks. So when he unloads it, it goes directly on the floor. So that's the teretz. So we don't have a raya over there. It's talking about a case where there's no kli, so it's no raya about our question. Amalei huna brei mar zutra l'ravina. Michdi pirkin tani. It says pirkin mali pasuk or mali loy pasuk. Gemara is asking. This is the clarification that like I said, we've foreshadowed throughout the sugya. The Gemara is asking, what difference does it make if they came to an agreement? The Maisa, there was a kinyan made, and they agreed to purchase. So what difference does it make if they agreed on the price? Why don't we say it's a kinyan? As soon as the kinyan happened, as soon as it was put on the ground or in the kli, whatever the case may be, if you make a kinyan, what does it make a difference whether they agreed on the price? Amalei pasuk sam chadait le pasuk lo sam chadait. He said no, like we've been saying, there's no smichas das. You need to have a full-fledged agreement to be kind of. Just there's no automatic kinyanim without a meeting of the minds. And in order for there to be a meeting of the minds, there has to be an agreement on the price. Until there's an agreement on the price, the lekech is not and the Meicher as well. Neither of them are really invested in this kinyan, so you need both a agreement on the price as well as a Maisa kinyan in order to be kind. Amalei Ravina Lavashi, Tashma. The Rabbi Shmuel Dami Shavai, Caleb shall Adam Kainale B'chol Makam. We say the Caleb of a person are kaina in any place. Lasuya might, Lav Lasuya Rishus Meicha. Doesn't that mean even they say B'chol Makam? Doesn't that mean even B'shus Meicha? Chayra means Rav and Shmuel are paskening that the Caleb shall Ikeach are going to be kind of Rishus Meicha. So I think no, Hasam the Amalei Zilkni. That's talking about only, like we've said before, this question that we've been talking about now is where there was no specific agreement on the part of the Meicher that he should be kinda through this the Caleb Lekech and the Rishus Meicher. But where the Meicher says, go use your Kli to be kinda, so then he's almost like almost as if he's renting him the spot, then he's directing him to do so, that will certainly be kinda. Now the Gemara moves on to another question, again, an issue that we've mentioned a number of times as sort of as a fait accompli. This is where the Gemara discusses it. Knan Hasan. Nechasam sheyesh nachrais niknu b'chesef u'b'shtar b'chazaka. Karka nechasam sheyesh nachrais means things that are sold where if later on someone has something, someone takes it away, you're going to have to provide a warranty. That's referring to karka. That's kani with keser shtar and chazaka, like we see all the way back. We learned all the way back in Kedushin. But metaltalin ain't niklan ela b'mashicha. It's only kani b'mashicha. Besuru masna la hashmaitza mishmei Reb Chizda. In Surya, they say in the foregoing statement, they said b'shem Reb Chizda, b'mdisa masna b'shmei Reb Kahana, b'mdisa they said b'shem Reb Kahana, v'armila b'shmei Rava. It was either Reb Chizda, Reb Kahana, or Rava that said, Lo yishanu el advarim she'ein darkan lagbiyah. This that we say that you're kind of metaltal the Mashiach is only something that's not normally lifted, not something that can be easily lifted. That's it's if you have the ability to do Hagbah is the paradigmatic kinyan for metaltal. It's the ideal kinyan. So when you have the ability to do Hagbah and be kind of you can't do Mashiach. Yosef Abai v'Kamala Shmaitza. Abai was saying over this din that you can only do Mashiach in a place where Hagbah is not feasible. So he asked, Hagoyin of Kis b'Shabbos. If someone stole a purse, a bag on Shabbos, Chayiv, he's going to be Chayiv. Shekvan is Chayiv and Neva Kodesh Yavil Day Yisur Shabbos. When someone steals a bag, he goes into the house of the nignav, of the person he's stealing it from, and he picks up the bag, and then he goes outside. So the Gemara says he has to pay for the bag, for the bag that he stole, because he's first going to be chayiv as soon as he picks up the bag for stealing, and then he's going to be chayiv for Shabbos when he leaves the house. So the two things didn't come at the same time. So it's not kamlei b'derabinei. The chayiv of Geneva comes first, and he's chayiv to pay that back. But the Gemara continues. The Mishnah says, but if instead of picking up the bag, he drags it outside, Potter. In that case, it's Potter. Since he wasn't Magbiet, he was only first kaina when he's Moishechet out of the Rishus of the Lekech, of the Nignav. So when it goes outside, he's first kainit. I guess he brings it into the Simta. So he's going to be kainit with Mashiach when he goes outside, because he wasn't Magbiet. And at that same time, as soon as he takes it out of the house of the Nignav, it's also going to be Chayiv Shabbos. So the two things are coming at the same time. So then he doesn't have to pay back. So Gemara, kiss davar debar hagbohu. We're saying when he drags it out, he can be kind of with Mashiach. But like the beginning of the Mishnah said, he could have picked it up. If he picked it up, he'd be kind of. So why are you able to be kind of with Mashiach? Mashiach shouldn't be kind of, even when he goes out of the rishus of the bias of the Nignav. It's something that was royal hagbah, so you should need hagbah to be kind. Amalei b'misna. He said to him, no, we're talking about over here where there's a strap attached to the bag, and he's dragging it with the strap because he's dragging with the strap. So tomorrow, no, not even it's the combina. So he said back to him, what difference does it make a difference whether he takes it out with a strap, without a strap? I was also talking about with a strap, but if it's something that he could pick up, what difference does it make that it has a strap? So no, the boy missed. We're talking about something that was heavy that requires a strap, and therefore, that's the reason why you're kind of with Mashiach. But when we say he picks it up, this ratio of the Mishnah said if he picks it up, he's going to be chayav earlier. It's something that normally would be mashach. Normally you drag it. The strap was like a dragging strap. This guy was a gibar and he went and picked it up. So you can be kind of with hagbah on something that is normally done with meshicha. The question is, if something is normally done by hagbah, can you be kind of with meshicha? This is something normally done with meshicha, and this guy decided to do hagbah. But the case was taka. The strap was there to schlep it.
So if he does hagbah where everybody else does meshicha, he's not koina?
No, he is koina.
He's koina.
It's a one-way street. You can decide. No, you cannot. You can decide. I'm going to do hagbah on something that's very heavy. If you could somehow pick up the elephant and be magbiyat, you're koina. But the problem is if it's something that's light, that's normally picked up, and you drag it on the ground, that's what that was the din that we just brought. That does not work. You can't downgrade to the worse, less ideal. It should be the less ideal kinyan because you decided that you're not doing it the regular way. Hagbah is a better kinyan than Mashicha. So if you decide to go against what people normally do, you could still be kind. Toshma. We said in our Arba Midas, the four different types of kinyan that people do. We said one of the cases was if the kinyan, the object that the lekech is buying is in the rishus of the seller, he's not kind until he picks it up or until he brings it out of his rishus. It's saying you have two choices. You could either pick it up, or you could take it out of the rishus of the meicher. That'd be kind of by bringing it into your rishus. So saying the same thing that you could do hagbah, you could also do meshicha. No, it means you have two. We're giving you two options. Talking about two different cases. If it's something that's light and you bring it, then you could pick it up. If it's something that's heavy, then you could be meishech it into your own rishus. So, okay. So the Gemara wants to bring another eye to our question: can you be kind of with a kinyan mashiach on something that's normally done by hagbah? Someone who sold pears to his friend. Mashach v'leim. This is our Mishnah. Mashach v'leim madad. If he did mashiach on it, but he didn't measure it, kani. So we're talking about pears. So pears, the bnei hagbah. Pears are normally able to be picked up. Tani the kani b'mashicha. So we're talking about large bundles of pears that are not really roy for hagbah. They're too heavy. So the Gemara says, so why don't we say by the pishtan also? Why we're saying that you do it we said and we understood to mean mashicha. That's the way. That's the way the Gemara had understood it.
Really?
He does. I'm sorry. What did I say? They said he does it with hagbah. The Rashbam had explained that means with hagbah. So the Gemara is asking, but isn't Pishtan also bundled up into large bundles? So why are we changing the case? And we're saying that by the Pishtan, we're talking about, it's almost like my piska, the same type of question. Why are we all of a sudden switching and saying that the Pishtan he's kind of with Hagbah? I'm trying to remember. I don't remember why the Mishnah was mashma. Let me look. The Gemara understood that it's talking about Hagbah. And so why are we talking about how could you make Hagbah? It's the same thing as the Reisha, the Paris. We're talking about that it's in large bundles. Why isn't the flax also in large bundles? So Gemara Shani Pishtin de Mishtamet. No, the Gemara says people don't like actually putting flax into large bundles because it's going to fall out. So therefore, it's better to bundle it into small things that are more controllable. Amalei Ravina Ravashi Tashma Behema Gatsa Niknas Mesira Badaka Bagba. You're kind of a large animal with Mesira, and a small animal you pick up. He says, no, they say even a behemadaka, you're kind of with Mashiach. Small animal, that's what it is. It's small. So why can't you pick up your rabbit or your chicken? So Shani behemad disarcha. When it says a behema is difficult, even if it's small, it's difficult to lift because it doesn't like being picked up. Okay, I'm going to stop over here. Bez Hashem will continue tomorrow. Still not sure where I'm going to be tomorrow.
All right, thank you.
We'll
Thank you so much.
7:10 tomorrow. That's the plan.
What was that?
We're going to try to do on Zoom. We're going to start. Oh no. Yeah, we're going to. Whether I guess we're going to try to do Zoom tomorrow if that's okay, because Lucy.
No, tomorrow I'm good. Tomorrow I'm good.
Tomorrow you good?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll see.
fine.
So then we'll see. If I'm in town, then we'll learn in the shul. Otherwise, we'll do 6:30 over here.
Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah.